LaPorte County Redevelopment Commission meeting for Wednesday, April 29th at 4 p.m. to order. If everybody would please stand for the pledge. Home, do whatever. Joe.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Is Mary Jane here?
It should be.
Roll call.
Where's MJ?
Roll call.
Do you want me to call it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Roll call, please. Dr. Vitacore.
Present. Mike Rosenbaum present.
Joe Core present. Randy Novak is present on Zoom. And I'm not sure of Tony Rodriguez. Who else?
Yes.
1, 2, 3. I believe we have a quorum.
Jan Rybert.
Jan Rybert by Zoom is here.
Who's
Do
this?
we have
Schools?
Our school.
Oh, okay, wonderful.
She's a voting member.
All right, great.
With her, we have a quorum.
Mr. President, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Has anybody heard from Mary Jane? Is she on her way?
I thought she was just going to try and zoom into the meeting.
Okay. All right. Approval of the agenda for today.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Public comment. Is there anybody from the public that would like to speak?
Mr. Chairman, as I said, Mary Jane will be at the meeting.
She's here.
She's here.
There she is.
It was parking.
Yeah.
That was it.
Is there anybody from the public that would like to speak? Anybody from the public? Hearing none. Communications.
We have communications for the month.
Need to be in a microphone?
I can hear.
I can hear.
Sorry. All right. Your communications for the month are, I had sent you the information on the Redevelopment Associations of Indiana. They sent you a list of legislation that may impact redevelopment commissions for you. And then I just have received emails back and forth with NERC regarding the EDA grant, and then how there might be additional funds for something like the water tower through the CARES Act that's put forth. So there's those discussions going on, and that is it for the month of
March.
April. March, April.
March.
There we go. Thanks, Joe.
All right. Minutes. Everybody get a chance to review the minutes?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next item is the treasurer's report. I believe Mary Jane emailed that out a little bit earlier.
Motion to accept?
Second.
We have a motion and a second on the financial report.
She's going to read the balances if that's okay?
Yeah, that's what I was going to have her do.
Thank
You
you.
want to just read the balances, Mary?
Sure. For the 401 KIDC TIF, the balance is $134,691.53. For the I-94 421, the balance is $196,686.55. And then the I-94 Route 21, the funds that are unavailable that are used to pay the debt, is $244,500. And then the 39 North TIF balance is $69,998.48. And that is your report.
Is there any questions from anybody?
Motion to approve. I think we already did.
We approved it right after. Yeah.
You what?
We already made a motion and we had second.
Right. But it was just asking if there's any questions after she ran the balances. So
None. I'm here.
if there's none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. The claims docket. KIDC.
Mr. President,
Uh,
I just want
yes.
to believe to make note that Mike Mullenhour looks like he's joined the meeting.
Terry Larson's on there too.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Well, I was.
You're there, you're still there. We can hear you.
Okay, all right. I lost pictures. I don't know what happened.
That's, so the claims and dockets under the KIDC TIF, we have Thomas and Associates for March of 2020 for $698.75. MCR Partners April professional services in the amount of $3,000. Harold Argus March 20th legal notice publication in the amount of $25.94. Barnes and Thornburg for January 2020 legal services in the amount of $48.83.75 for a total out of that TIF of $8,608.44. What's your pleasure?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions on those claims? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Next item is the 421 I-94 TIF 1. Thomas and Associates for March. The other half of it, $698.75. MCR Partners, April 2020 professional services in the amount of $2,000. Harold Argus, March 20th legal notice in the amount of $25.94. Friedman and Associates legal services in the amount of $1,500 for a total of $4,224.69.
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next one is 39 North TIF. It's MCR Partners for March. Professional services. Just a point of order. Why is that one for March, Mary Jane, and the other ones are for April?
I must have made a typo.
Okay.
For April, they're all April.
So that would be.
It is a typo. It should be April.
It's for April professional services in the amount of $1,000. So the total out of that TIF would be $1,000.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And so the total claims paid is $13,833.13. Moving on to old business, the 421 I-94 TIF project update, Matt Reardon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Had a discussion, in between our last meeting and this meeting with the development community developer, and unfortunately, where they're at is the virus has their project slowed down a little bit. And the good news I did hear from Vlad was there's an agreement in principle between Loves and the pipeline company for the construction. And I think they're hammering out those details. I'm sure that's going to be a pretty lengthy legal document, but nonetheless, they're working towards that. In addition to that, there's still the truck sales and service center that hasn't targeted that location for construction. We're still back where we were before. We don't have sewer and water. I've reached out to the mayor's office in Michigan City to coordinate a meeting with him. I'm trying to get on his calendar. I'm sure he's got a lot of stuff going on at this time, but I'm sure before we do anything or move forward with any additional activities at 421 and 94, want to make sure that, one, Michigan City is on board as they were before with their potential financial participation with the sewer and water, and being that funding for infrastructure items that in the past seemed like they would be fairly benign discussions may in fact be a little bit more difficult at this time as we go forward. However, these are revenue generating operations, so therefore it should make sense if you have sewer and water users, you extend sewer and water. And so the discussion I had with Mitch Bishop about what to do, what the next steps are to do, he talked about property procurement and moving forward with that. And I think, with me being a licensed commercial broker and having an attorney here, I don't think we'd have any problem doing that in-house. With the services we already provide. So before we move forward with telling anybody to do anything on property procurement, I think we're going to take a shot at that if we need to do it, i.e. I can do it as a commercial broker. So
and I just want to check, that's not going to be deemed any conflict.
Oh, no, this is just...
I just want to be sure.
Yeah,
mention that, and we just take it off the table. Right.
Yeah, there is no conflict. There's no fees associated with in this action. It would just be MCR making the offers. The fact that I actually know how to do it as a commercial real estate person is kind of a bonus.
And I think you want to clarify, it's no increase in your retainer. This would be part of the retained services that you're getting from Matt.
So all part of the...
We just want to put it on the record that we looked at it.
Yep.
That's all.
So that's ready to go. The other issue we talked about was, do we want to bid this project and see what kind of number we get? And I don't know what kind of shape the documents are in. When I say I don't know what kind of shape they're in, are they in biddable form? I know that their substance is complete for both the sewer and the water. I don't know if they're in biddable form, so I'll have to discuss and clean those up discuss with Jay and Mitch and get them cleaned up if the board thinks that's important to do.
I would move forward with getting some kind of a proposal, so we know where we're at.
We don't have to build it.
Right, correct.
I would recommend talking with Michigan City to make sure they're still in the game.
Okay, we'll do.
And then we can proceed with, if we want to go out for bids or something, just so we can get a hard number on it.
Yep.
I would make sure that they're 100% in, because there's a lot going on there. So.
Understood.
Do we need a motion for that? I'll make a motion that Matt does what he needs to do to promote getting us quotes for the sewer extension out south on south of I-94 and 421. We should have accurate drawings from RQAW, right?
Yes, we absolutely.
So that drawings, that's the most important. We need specs, probably.
I think we're, like I said, we're pretty close to done. I know that Jay was working on specs.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
So I just need to make sure that they're biddable.
Michigan
docs.
Providing Michigan City.
If you would include in the motion as part of that, the due diligence that Matt is doing is get consent from Michigan City that they're still part of the project. I think that Chairman makes a good point. We don't know where exactly Redevelopment Commission is going to be over there on this project yet. So
right. No, I agree. Contingent on whether or not Michigan City still is in the game financially to help support that project.
Right.
If that's the case, then we can move forward.
I'll second.
All right, we have a second. So I have a quick question to the attorney. We have no funding mechanism in place. Are we?
That's right. You don't want to authorize. I didn't understand you to seek. You weren't seeking bids at this point, weren't you? Instructing him to do diligence.
We're just trying to verify the cost of that project as a whole.
All right,
that's all we're trying to do.
Maybe some estimates as opposed to a formal bid process, because again, Chairman's right. We don't have the formal financing process in place. Yep.
Right, but we're not going to go out for total bid. Correct.
No. Correct.
No bids.
Right. That's why I wanted to check with legal first, because I didn't think we were.
No, you're right.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Next item is KIP update from Matt Reardon, KIP.
I'm going to turn it over to Doug Davey, who's in the back here, is a very important business cog out at the KIP, and to kind of just, I'm joking around a little bit, but Doug's always participates in what we have going on, and I'd like Doug to come up. I know that he and Jim Carroll have been working on some things over the time, and they got a few things in the pipeline, and certainly the virus and supply chain things and all that is kind of put it on here. But Doug, if you could kind of come up and say what's what for a little bit, just so that the commissioners know what's going on.
Gentlemen, Doug Davey from Midwest Warehousing. All I can basically tell you is that Jim Carroll has, he's basically out of St. Louis. He's just gotten Anheuser-Busch back from Patriot Rail, so he's getting acclimated back to that. We have secured the easement for the CN connection, which will run from First Line Road down to Markman Pete. We're going to start getting that. There's a lot of trees, a lot of things like that, so we're going to start on clearing some trees and getting that straightened around. Construction plans are, they're not final, but they're at least close via rails, got that all done. As far as the CSX can go, as soon as Jim gets Patriot Rail, the move done, I do believe that the CSX will continue. I can't guarantee that it's going to happen, but things are looking better. So, we can just keep trying to get the connection. Funding is available, and we're hopeful.
So, you mentioned we have the lease to go where? Across the Markman Beach?
We were able to, excuse me, we were able to secure an easement over DNR property.
Okay.
Obviously, you know that we're going over DNR property, so we needed to get an easement.
Not the Babs property, just
not the Babs property, just from Markman Pete to Alexander Chemical, their spur. It is a 50-foot easement, 25 on each side. It is under Midwest Warehousing. We did some negotiations and we got that. So I think all the puzzles are there. We just need some legal things done as far as Babs. And I think Ed has talked to Via Rail also. He's got his plans. I'm sure, I don't want to speak out of turn, but I'm sure Jeff from Markman Pete will be on board. There's some things that he's trying to do with DNR to get some extra land that he needs. But other than that, that's about all I can tell you.
So then that means we can connect to CN?
If we can get an agreement with Babs, I think that's the last puzzle.
Still need Babs. Okay.
That's the last puzzle.
That's pretty positive what you just said, though. That's a good thing.
It's been that way for the last couple of months. We just we needed to get everything squared around, and we're about there.
Well, that should leave just the Babs, as you just stated. The Babs properties are only missing link there.
Yes. Yes.
Right.
Right. So.
All right. Very good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Matt will ask you where we're at with the Babs property. What's next?
I'll turn it over to Shaw, but briefly, the attorneys are doing their job. They're negotiating back and forth, as Dr. Cora requested. That's be the, a condemnation and what comes with it be the last last resort, and that's where we're at. Just negotiating. It's not uncommon that parties go back and forth. We made it pretty clear with the attorneys that we have no desire to have this drawn out over any length of time, and to utilize delay tactics as a strategy to either increase the governmental level of frustration, and also that then can from time to time increase the amount of money offered. We have no interest in proceeding that way.
But there are talks going on.
Yes, absolutely. There, you'll recall there was an appraisal, an appraised figure. We went with the higher of the figures.
Yes.
That was tendered. They rejected that. We then authorized the attorneys at Barnes and Thornburg to seek a counter, and that's what we're waiting for at this point, is a reasonable counter from Babb Stevens and her attorneys, so that we can keep the process moving forward. But the instruction from you all, engage in good faith negotiations, which we're required to do.
Well, that's good news.
Yeah, and so at this point, we're waiting for their counter. And if we can keep this thing within the realm of the reasonable, then hopefully we can come to you with an agreed upon price for her easement. So that's the hope.
All right. Very good. Great update. Doug, thank you.
Question. Is there a time limit that we're kind of setting for what's reasonable? You mentioned we don't want to drag this out. We would love to make it as reasonable as possible, but we haven't seen that so far, possibly.
I know. And certainly with all that's happened over the last 6-8 weeks, it's delayed everything on every issue. But I'd like to be able to come back to you with next month's meeting with a figure. Either we have something that reasonably we can agree on, or we're at impasse and we've got to go forward.
Did you say 6 months?
No,
you said the past
6 weeks. With the COVID crisis, it's obviously delayed some of this to some extent. But I'd like to be able to come back to you next month at your meeting with a figure, hopefully a final figure that we can reach.
Okay. And great to hear some sort of goal. Thank you.
All right. Is there anything else on that, Matt?
No, sir.
All right. Moving on to new business, the Okra COVID grant. MCR Partners and OCED.
I'm going to turn it over to Tony to talk a little bit about what went on. But grant program became available. We made an application for $250,000. We're in a good position to get it, and I'll turn it over to Tony to talk a little bit about it.
Very good. Thank you, Matt. And I heard you say that twice. Talk a little bit about the project. I'll be very brief. We had an extremely productive meeting with our county planner, our representative from the Office of Community and Rural Affairs, Mr. Gerald White, who was strongly indicating that we were in very good shape with regard to being approved for some COVID emergency relief money for the small business community. And what I'll do is just very quickly, we, as Matt mentioned, we anticipate we've applied for $250,000. He mentioned that the figure that they were likely to approve is going to be somewhere south of that figure. Realistically, I would anticipate something around $150,000. That's still going to make available a lot of proceeds that are going to significantly impact those small business owners that will apply for and the Redevelopment Commission consider and then potentially approve that grant money. Couple of key noteworthy items. One is the applicant company that's impacted will not be eligible if they've received either an EIDL loan or one of the PPP SBA loans. So it's really, they're trying to make sure that there's no double dipping or triple dipping in any regard. And they're really focused on trying to have an impact on the most hard hit. So with that said, what we have in place right now is a resolution that would authorize a partnership between the County of LaPorte, the LaPorte County Redevelopment Commission, and how this program could or would be rolled out with an application. And that application would be handled through a Google Docs and automated application process, strongly and closely evaluated directly by you as the redevelopment commissioners, and then through a scoring process would award the successful applicant. So the three pieces of the puzzle are the enabling resolution, an application itself for the funds, and then a brief description of the project. So those three components right now, which are in final draft form, are available to be distributed immediately upon a word from Oprah that we've been approved. I believe that covers it in its totality. We do need to go to the commissioners. We will also need to introduce a resolution to the county council just to bring and complete the final approval if we get notice that we have been successful in our awarded the grant. But it appears that we're in very good shape. I made a call before coming into this meeting to our representative. He said he was going to be either texting me or calling me back shortly. But still no word. Any other addition, anything I might have left out, Matt?
No.
Tony, just a question, and the auditor raised a question with me, whether for purposes of awarding grants, while we should have the Redevelopment Commission endorse it, move it on to the commissioners and the Office of Economic Development. That way you and Matt can run it out of the Office of Economic Development, because as she pointed out, I'm not sure the redevelopment can make those grants to businesses outside of TIF areas, whereas the Office of Economic Development could do grants for both TIF areas and non-TIF areas in the unincorporated area of the county. So just a point to keep in mind. And clearly redevelopment needs to be fully involved, invested. You all have to decide a process, for instance, a committee of folks, and your president made a good suggestion about even having some elected officials serving as, a combination of elected officials, non-elected, on a selection committee that could go through applications and help make grant awards. So,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
I like that approach.
And this is similar, just so that we know, and anybody watching understands that this is similar to what some other communities and counties throughout the state have done, which is to set up relief for businesses that need it. I mean, that short-term grant, let's say, of $10,000 can make all the difference for some small businesses. But in order for this to be effective, it needs to be expedited and really put on the fast track so that it comes up at the commission meeting on May 6th.
Yes.
And hopefully be able to implement a process here very quickly.
So we need a motion of support?
Yes, if you would.
So moved. I have one question, Tony. How much money is available through this program? Did you say 150?
We originally had applied for a total of 150 after a one-on-one discussion with the highest level staff at Okra.
Okay.
And the commission president was on that conference call. We amended our application up to the 250,000 through that letter of intent, and then formally submitted an app for 250,000. He indicated that the number of applications submitted was in excess of 110 communities had applied for this assistance. They have a certain amount of money, so he gave us an indication of somewhere around 150. But again, we're having a hypothetical discussion. But best estimate, and Matt, if you wanted to add anything here, is we're estimating about 150. The key is, in what Okra's looking for, is that ability to move quickly to establish the fund within the county government, the ordinance that would then establish the fund with the county council. Just exactly as Attorney Friedman had mentioned, starts at the Redevelopment Commission, goes to the commissioners, and then to the county council to approve. Once we have approval from Okra that they've made an award.
Yeah,
And we
realistically,
can do that very quickly.
we're probably talking 150,000. So up to 15 grants, let's say at 10,000 apiece, that could be a huge impact. Yeah, could be very good.
So the goal,
We use the term lifeline. These are lifeline funds for that small business.
So do we need a motion?
So Dr. Cora made a motion. I'll second it, just to get it moving.
Do we have a motion and a second? Is there any other questions on this?
Does the motion have to include that we, after we adopt, we'll forward it to the commission and the council?
Yes, endorse the concept, and you're forwarding it on to both commission and council.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So moved.
Agreed on the second.
Yeah.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Discussion on possible renewable energy ordinance. Matt Reardon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As of late, and not so late in this county, there's been quite a few solar projects that have come and go. And as the commission is aware, that we've been working closely with, for over the past year, with a private company from Indiana and the utility to do a solar project in and around Kingsbury Industrial Park. So that project is ongoing, and they're working with the landowner and going through their paces. And as you can imagine, the level of due diligence for a sizable solar array is quite extensive, not only from the geotechnical, environmental side, but also from the business case side to who do you sell energy to and how does it work on the grid. So they're involved and embroiled in all that. And so what Shaw had forwarded is I'm a big fan of not having to reinvent the wheel here. We got a pretty solid ordinance that we could use as a draft. I shared it with Mitch Bishop. Mitch could put it in the same form and fashion as the uniform development code that the county follows, and we could have that presented to the Plan Commission for their consideration at an upcoming meeting. I mean, this isn't something that's imminent, but it's something that probably needs to be taken care of here. And then on to, I think who approves that? Then the commissioners?
Yes, and once the Plan Commission reviews, sends it to the commissioners, and I thought I had the correspondence from this developer in your packet. If not, we'll forward it to all the members of the commissioners or to the Redevelopment Commission. Very positive signs from the prospective developer for this large solar development near KIP. And again, they've said, look, can you get a renewable energy ordinance adopted in your county? And so that
makes sense.
Yeah.
So do we have, going to discuss it, or are we going to move on it, or because I got it in my packet?
Yeah, it would only be if, I think, some sort of level of endorsement by the redevelopment to send it on to Plan Commission. That would be helpful at this point.
I'll make that motion that we endorse it and move it to the Plan Commission.
I second it.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any questions to pass this favorable on to Planning Department? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Is there any other business?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to, and I do this actually, usually when I'm not at the meeting, I provide you this information, and I notice that when I'm here, I usually don't bring it up. So we receive, it depends, it fluctuates, I guess, leads directly from the IEDC. Some of those leads include 50 counties. Some of them include 10 counties. Some of them are multi-state. So I sent you an email out earlier today as I was going through, and another one popped up today. These are the leads that we've had, and when I say we, myself and Tony and Bailey and MJ go through and we fill out these. It's just not paperwork. So each one of these comes with an analysis that has to be submitted. Let's see, we had 1, 2, 3, 6 in the past 2 months with the total investment that they estimated $822 million that could create a potential 1,605 jobs. They vary from chemical manufacturers to food processors to specialty brewing. If the commissioners at any time want to see one of these start to finish, we're happy to send you over the electronic paperwork. Otherwise, I think I would be in. There'd be some environmental people that wouldn't be very happy if I started printing these things out. There's a lot of questions. Some of it's superfluous. Some of it's redundant, but on all of them that ask for incentive and analysis, we have to go through and do that individually for each company. So when they say, I'm going to invest $400 million, and some of that's in equipment and some of that's in a building, and they want tax increment financing and they want tax abatement, or they want to know what a payment in lieu of tax looks like, we go through and do that analysis internally and include that in the document. Just so if you ever want to see it, let me know. And they also oftentimes want to know the cost of utilities to the site, the capacity. I had to dust off my old algebra skills as I was doing some conversions back and forth, and I was half ready to send it to my partners at HWC Engineering and tell them, you guys figure this out. But anyway, those are the things that these guys, the companies are looking for. So these are ongoing. And the sad part is we don't know what happens to them until somebody says we want to come for a site tour. So early in February, I think it was, Tony, we did have a site tour from one of the companies that came up, and then these things go dark for a while. The state plays these things very close to the vest, and what we found is we get told that we're the winner after they've negotiated what they're going to do, and they presume that we are going to go forward and do with what we said. So we're trying to make that a little more seamless process for the companies and for the state. And that's why we keep this information at the ready.
Fortunately, and the members of the commission will remember just a few years ago, we went through the large project and actually got into the final 8 to 10 out of 50 sites considered around the country. And so at least you've got the template that you can then dice and slice and provide for different applicants. But you recall how far we got with that, and it was a massive project. And it showed the county's ability to be able to ramp up and respond to an RFP like that.
I think it's important that we certainly respond. Have we ever gotten any development through the IDEC in LaPorte County?
The answer is yes. It is not always, but if you're not active and responding timely, you have no chance. I just wanted to point out, Matt did a real good job explaining how that process plays out, and it's not unusual to be forced into the NDA, the signing of the non-disclosures. But as last week, we received an email that we've been shortlisted for Project Scale. I don't know if you wanted to just touch on that, Matt. But what that means is we are now filling out an exhaustive, detailed property level information, group of information. But one of the new things we've been adding that Bailey has been spending a lot of time on is refining our site catalog for LaPorte County, so that when the lead comes up, we can click a button and we're in the game. And what's another one of the nice tools to have is drone footage that is property specific. We're probably at about 15-20% of the properties right now with up-to-date drone footage, flyovers at that. And that's extremely helpful in times like this when you're doing business in this fashion. If we can send a file and do a virtual site tour, we're in the game. So I just wanted to add that. And so there's some exciting things going on. One other point that is just a chunk of good news, Midwest Trade Center would receive an email, and there is 2 particular investors that are at the signing level for approximately 270,000 square feet. That'll be coming down the pike here within the next couple of weeks. We'll be talking more about that, but exciting news for times that we're in.
Great. Thank you. Is there any other business? Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn. I did the last one. I wanted it again.
Second.
You guys are quick. You're used to it.
Thank you.